Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Hope everything is great with you today. Today we're doing something really fun and really useful because we're going to talk about common Italian mistakes that Italians make. Yep, that's right. Italian is so difficult that even native speakers slip up sometimes. By the end of this video, you will know these mistakes, you will be able to pick them up, and most of all, you will be able to avoid them so that your Italian will sound much, much more natural and even better than the ones used by native Italians. Okay, so one of the most common mistakes, and trust me, I hear this very often and it makes my ears bleed and hurt. It's when people use gli when they should be using le. Yeah. Be sure to know your indirect object pronouns. And it's a common mistake. Look at these examples of a mistake. Ho scritto a Maria e gli ho mandato il messaggio. Obviously, this is wrong. Ho scritto a Maria e le ho mandato il messaggio. I wrote to Maria and sent her a message. So I'm using a lei, le ho mandato il messaggio because Maria identifies as a woman. I know. You're going to be like, but this is so easy. It's easy because you are studying grammar. But native Italians sometimes just confuse things, or when we speak too quickly, we tend to make that mistake. So you could hear the use of gli, so which actually should be the masculine form, a lui, to him, instead of using the le, so the feminine form, a lei, to her. I know it might just sound easy for you, but because you are truly diving into Italian grammar. So make sure you review the indirect pronouns and that you do not make this common mistake. Now, since you have probably looked at my videos and you've been following me for a while, you know that one of the trickiest things to learn and master in Italian is the congiuntivo, the subjunctive. So by now, you know that it's horrible and very difficult to master. And unfortunately, Italians have a problem with the subjunctive because it's so tricky that even native Italians make mistakes. And unfortunately, I have to say they make a lot of mistakes. So you might hear a sentence like this. Penso che lui ha ragione. Se veniva prima, trovava tutti. Ah! What's the problem here? We're using the indicative instead of the subjunctive, so you should have a sentence like this. Penso che lui abbia ragione. So you're using abbia, the subjunctive. Se fosse venuto prima, avrebbe trovato tutti. Once again, you're using the subjunctive correctly. I know that I've been telling you that I've been working on a course on Congiuntivo. I am. It's not a lie. I just really need to eliminate imposter syndrome / perfectionism, and I will upload it on my website, I promise. The next mistake, it's more of a spelling mistake, so like a written form mistake. It's quite a classic mistake that appears in writing, and it's something like this. Marta dà un fiore a Mauro, where you should say Marta dà, with a little accent, un fiore a Mauro. Why do you need the little accent on there? Because dà without an accent is a preposition. For example, vengo da Milano, I come from Milan. Da with an accent is the verb dare. It's the third person singular of the present tense. Okay, now we're going to be diving into a section where you're having problems with both pronunciation and spelling. Italians tend to have a problem with pronunciation, and this creates a problem with spelling because if you're pronouncing it in the wrong way, then when you're writing it out, you get confused. So I will give you a list of words or expressions that we're having a hard time with, but we're working on it, right? So remember that all of this is beautifully written out in the PDF that you can download for free by clicking on the link that you find below this video. So if you do not want to write these out, you can have them beautifully written out for you. Just click on the link. It's free. Trust me, free. So why are we having this little issue with pronunciation and spelling? Because sometimes our brain wants to pronounce two words as a single word, so together, while they're actually separate. Okay, so some words feel like they should belong together, but they're actually two different words. Let's look at them. If I have a fianco, I'm saying next to the side of. But sometimes it's easier to say a fianco. So as a single word with two F's. Be careful here because a fianco means next to the side of. A fianco comes from the verb affiancare, which means to draw up alongside. Let's look at some sentences to make sure that you understand the difference in meaning. If I'm using it in a separate form, if I'm saying a fianco, I can say prendimi il sale, lo trovi a fianco alla bottiglia. In this case, I'm simply using the form to say next to. But if I'm using a fianco, so one word with a double F, I can say something like this. Nella macchina ferma al semaforo c'è Mario. Mi affianco per salutarlo. You realize that one of them means next to, so physically next to. The other one is a verb. And it's a verb that means to go up to say hi in this case, okay? The next one I think is very common. You will hear a posto with two P's and in a single word when you're actually supposed to say a posto. Be careful because a posto and a posto are two different things. A posto, two separate words, means in order. Everything is okay. If I say a posto, I'm talking about the past participle of the verb apporre. Apporre means like to attach, to affix, to put. So they have completely different meanings. Look at them in sentences. If I say per domani è tutto a posto, I'm saying for tomorrow everything is good, everything is in order. But if I say Luigi ha apposto la firma sul contratto, I'm saying Luigi put a signature on the contract. So the meaning changes. Say them with me and get used to saying the most common one correctly. A posto, a posto. Separate the two and don't double the P. Otherwise you have a posto, which is something different. A similar situation is with the words a parte. Say them with me. A parte. It's soft. It's not a double P. A parte. So remember, you're saying two words, you're writing two words. A parte, not a parte. Okay? A parte means apart from. Okay? Yeah, this could be super tricky because in English you would have it apart together in one word. But in Italian it's not a parte. So put it inside of a sentence like this one. La lettera si trova in un raccoglitore a parte. Take note that this word, this expression, can be found in fixed expressions. So you can also memorize a parte tutto, a parte che, a parte il fatto. Say it with me. A parte, a parte. With a double P is simply a mistake. So do not say a parte, okay? And do not write it out, obviously. I really think that this mistake happens because our brain wants to double up the P because it's easier to pronounce. It's easier for us to say the sound, okay? And when you come to Italy, when you watch Italian TV, you will hear people making this mistake. But, please do not make it yourself because then you are going to have problems when you're writing it out. And you can maybe get away with it when you're saying it, but you can't get away with it when you're writing it. A similar mistake is with the next one. A proposito. Do not write or say a proposito. So do not double. Do not double. Do not double the P. Okay? And a proposito means concerning. A proposito della nostra lezione di italiano, ci vediamo domani? With the idea, talking about concerning our Italian lesson, should we see each other tomorrow? A proposito. Don't double the P. With the next one, you need to be careful because you have a change of meaning. So, you can have a volte, which means sometimes, and then you can have a volte, which is a verb that can also be turned into an adjective, which means to wrap something or be wrapped up, okay? Look at them inside of a sentence. A volte mi piace ascoltare musica classica. So sometimes I like to listen to classical music. But if I say le bimbe dormono a volte nelle loro calde coperte, I'm saying the girls are sleeping like wrapped up in their warm blankets. So here you have a change of meaning. Once again, you can sort of get away with it if you're speaking and the context is clear, but if you're writing it out, it's a mistake. So repeat with me. A volte versus a volte. Okay? Now we have a lot of mistakes that happen when we forget to use the apostrophe. So in this case, I would say it's basically a spelling mistake. So remember how to spell all of these words and remember that you do need a little apostrophe. I will say them for you. Repeat them after me so you get the hang of saying them and write them out correctly. D'accordo. All'incirca. Tutt'altro. Tutt'uno. D'altronde. Poc'anzi. Not very common. Quant'altro. Senz'altro. Little exception with the word finora, which merges. So finora, in this case, we would like to put an apostrophe, but there isn't one. Finora. I know, super tricky. Another common mistake is when we confuse the use of ci versus gli. In some regions, people use ci instead of gli or le, but this is truly a bad mistake. It usually shows a bit of ignorance, okay? So watch out. If you hear something, ci do un mazzo di fiori, it should be le do un mazzo di fiori. I'm giving her a bouquet of flowers. Ci ho detto il mio segreto. Panic. Gli ho detto il mio segreto. I told him my secret. Now, another common mistake is when we say proprio instead of proprio. Now, it's a little R, and I understand that when you speak fast, you want to eliminate it, but please make sure you don't if you need to use the word proprio, okay? Very similarly to this is with the word purtroppo, which many Italians say purtroppo. So in that case, we don't like the R because it's difficult to say. So we want to say purtroppo, but it's a mistake. So you might hear somebody say, purtroppo non posso venire. It's quick, you barely heard the mistake, but if a person speaks in the correct way, they will say, purtroppo non posso venire. I know. It's super common. It's more common than you think. Like I hear it very often. But you are studying Italian, you're good. So you are never going to make a mistake like this, right? Now, honestly, I could go on and on for another hour with different mistakes, but please let me know if you thought that these were helpful. And if so, I can maybe make another video with more common Italian mistakes. Feel free to download the PDF with all of this beautifully written out. It's a link that you find below this video. Just click on it, download it. If you're subscribed to my free newsletter, you already have it in your inbox. This is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you next week. Un bacio, ciao.